Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick, Leftovers final season, episode 5. It's a Matt world. Brett and Jason and Alonso. Before we get rolling, I want to recommend everybody go to Vulture and check out the interview that Matt Zoller-Seitz did with Damon Lindelof about this episode in particular. It's really good. It really provides a lot of insight as to what they're thinking about and where things are going and how he doesn't pre-plan as much as you would think. Surprise!
That is really good to know. Also, my greatest fear.
But I don't know. I think he might know where this is going. We'll see. But anyway, go read that. It's funny that the episode of this show, the title of this episode, because I watched 3 episodes last night. I was getting caught up, and there's a scene, one of the scenes with Lindsay. Is it Lindsay Duncan? Is that her name? The Australian woman who's now with Frank Sr. Or with Kevin Sr. rather.
Right.
She refers to the event as the Big W, and I was like, the Big W, is that it's a mad world reference, because you remember they're looking for the W of palm trees is where the money is buried, and so now they've referenced that movie in the title of this show, and that is a show about. Well, I don't know. I don't even know what the connection to that movie is.
I have no idea.
It's people running around like crazy doing stupid shit. Maybe that's the connection.
Is there a competition for references that most people will have to dig and find in this specific show? Because
it's like Archer, where there's like a wiki.
Yeah, like Gilmore Girls. You got to keep that Google handy, because eventually they'll say something. You don't know what the hell is going on. So this was another Matt episode, and I thought a really great kind of exploration about how faith and religion works.
Yes.
And how when you try and explain certain things to people, it makes no sense. And the things that people take as an event, whether it's the crucifixion or this lion who passed the age of anybody thinking that he would do so, impregnating all these lionesses, like that's the thing that you build your faith around, and to you it totally makes sense, and you tell it to other people, and like, really, that's a thing,
Yeah.
So I don't know, I thought that was kind of a cool parallel.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's just unlikely events that unfolded in an unlikely fashion. For this one, it was a lion impregnating a bunch of people, but like the world's happening all the time. Events are happening all the time. Eventually, you're gonna have one that's a little weirder than most, and this is what they extrapolate from it. And when you start thinking about it like that's what this show does so well, is get you to be like, oh my God, all things are like this. Everyone's attempt to deal with the unknown it can end up like this, and this is just an exaggerated version, and I think it worked well.
Maybe I'm gonna get myself in trouble. Is worshiping a 91-year-old lion any much more crazy than what's in the book?
What they're going for.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's like, you try and explain virgin birth or talking bushes or whatever to people, and they sound ridiculous,
Maybe God is really walking around with a business card.
Who knows? It's a possibility. But I love the idea that the way that Matt would confront him, because for me it kind of drove home the idea that this is a show about people who have to make gigantic, earth-shattering crises about them.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the king who thinks that he tells the sun when to set, Like the Kevins think they are somehow so involved with the motor of whatever this inexplicable event was that they're gonna stop it, or they're gonna be part of it, or they have to chronicle it. Matt thinks he understands the keys, and that he that Kevin is so essential, and that he's got this version of the gospel, which of course Kevin Sr. is mad because he's not in it enough. Like it's even Nora to an extent, like. As somebody who's constantly investigating this stuff, but at the same time, I think I love her conflict between wanting to bust these people and wanting to take the trip. That even she feels like that she has some control in this, and no one can surrender themselves to the idea that nature is chaos, the universe is chaos, and that we have zero control over how anything goes.
Right. Yeah. That's
or not anything, because
that's
big things like this.
Both going on the trip for Nora and blowing these people up is a coping mechanism. She just isn't quite sure which coping mechanism is the most her.
It seems like the only character to me that actually cares about other people besides themselves first is Lori. Because she's the one who picked up for Kevin. She's the one in the episode beforehand, when you kind of saw Evie, and she's the one who keeps secrets to protect other people. Like now they keep secrets to a certain extent, but they keep secrets to protect themselves.
But also,
she was keeping a secret to protect others.
This show does a really good job of pointing out whenever someone seems to have the upper hand rhetorically, kind of pointing out that they don't at all. It's like there's an episode of Friends where they, it's Friends, so take it for what it's worth. But they try to figure out if there's any such thing as a pure good deed. And at the very end, you can always play that extra card of like, you're doing that good deed because it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And that's the thing when it comes down to the Yahweh character, the guy in the red hat. He is,
who, by the way, has been God on this show before,
Yes,
Oh, really?
he was on the bridge.
He was on the bridge and he was in the karaoke bar when Kevin goes to the other side.
Karaoke. That's what I missed.
I did not. That's the same actor.
We have a recurring God on this show.
I meant to go look up if he's actually that reporter who won the triathlon.
That I don't know. I should have looked that up.
The same way that Kostenleri Appleton.
I mean, look, that was a very convincing backstory.
Look,
but yeah, he's turned up 3 times now, and now he's been eaten by.
I was just say I'm going to safely, and you shouldn't assume. I'm going to safely assume he probably was, because this is a show that took into account the fact that the day of the departure in Australia was a day later than everyone else.
And
the attention to detail.
And cast Mark Lynn Baker as Mark Lynn Baker.
And it's a Mad Men World reference, and songs I wasn't even alive for occur in the intro that I have to learn about on shows like this.
The show
Were you alive for Take on Me?
No.
God damn you!
Jesus.
Look, I don't mean to hurt you really bad here. I wasn't alive.
I was in college when that song came out.
I wasn't alive for any of the 80s.
Oh Lord! Oh,
Were you alive? Yeah.
Lord or our friend in the red hat?
Yeah, either one. You fetus.
The initial, the credit sequence open song was just this, series of sounds and vague French, semi-audible utterances.
Yeah, I kept thinking it was going to turn into like a Serge Gainsbourg song or something, but no, it was just random stuff. And then I knew it was Charles Aznavour singing whatever ditty that was that the guys launching the missiles to. Let's talk about missile launching guy for a second.
That beginning I thought was remarkably well done, and also one of the things that they do so well on the show, which I was talking about, I think 2 or 3, who knows at this point. World events and their effect on not necessarily all the characters, but it's what caused all of the planes to stop. Like, it still has its direct effect, which you're just talking about, how everything has an effect obviously on the main characters. My point being here, is it for them to kind of feel better about what they're doing? So like, he has, because of that tragic nuke strike,
rando ass,
naked
that puts them on that ferry boat.
Matt has to bribe a man who's ailing for his mother $20,000 to get him on a cargo plane.
But the action of that rando naked guy was though it itself could be perceived as this random action in the middle of the Pacific, that was motivated ostensibly by this random guy trying to find meaning and take an action that he felt contributed to the universe.
Yeah, like if everybody thinks of that everything's going to end in 2 days, then yeah, he may see himself as a way of sort of nudging that forward. And again, it's an individual who thinks that they play some role in these unexplained events, and the only way they can sort of make it feel like they have some semblance of control is by making themselves part of the narrative. Right?
Yeah, and that's why sometimes this show just feels like this, the same way Candy Crush feels, where it's like figured
Go
out.
on.
It's figured. I know, Alonso. I send you a lot of lives. It's figured out what is like an internal, inherent, universal behavioral pattern and this relationship with addiction, and it takes full advantage of that every way possible. The same way this show is all about a search for meaning and how that is like the universal human condition, and it picks apart every potential way to approach a search for meaning and really defangs it, or at least makes you feel ridiculous for attempting to find it.
Yeah, I mean, because from the get-go, the show very significantly doesn't start right after the event. It starts right after. It starts a year later when Congress has just had their giant study and said, we got nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing.
Never happened in U.S. American political history.
I know. This is fiction.
What are they basing this show on?
At the very least, they should have explained, why they thought we should possibly censure the person.
Yeah, or how a tax cut might have helped. But no, the humanity dealing with the fact that there are no answers. That's been the moving force of this whole show, and it is sort of writ large, you're right, everybody's experience, this constant notion of like, is there some meaning? Is there some definition? Is there some thing that I can do that moves the engine of the earth,
I would also add that someone like Matt, who has a certain approach to religion, encountering this like weird pagan hedonistic cult.
Yes.
That has made this very serious rule, which is you become part of him if you say Frasier.
Right, after midnight.
How strange it is that they so mellowly let him leave. He's like, oh, you're terrible, you're terrible. They're like, all right, we didn't really care anyway.
Back to fucking.
We kind of wanted to see you fuck this weird penis enlarger thing. But like penis pump, go.
I have a theory that they gave us a naked missile guy at the very beginning just so that because there was gonna be so many boobs later. They're like, all right, we have a dude in here.
My friend Phil Iskov, he's a writer, he tweeted a little, shit, I wish I had it open. He tweeted his favorite moment from the credits of this show. And that his favorite moments of the credits of this show are the way a man is credited. They have credits for the sailor, the older woman, cop, and vigorous hand job guy.
Vigorous hand job guy, I noticed that. Perhaps you saw me as vigorous hand job guy on the left. Oh, that was you.
It was vigorous. Good casting.
Oh my.
But yeah, no, and I also like how in so many shows it would have been they would have milked 3 episodes out of Matt giving away the fact that Lori was keeping this secret and the reverberations of that, and he does it, and they're all like, yeah, no, I wouldn't have told me either. That's good. Yeah, right.
They really do a good job of placing you in a one-off instance like this. We know the reason that they're on this ferry. I also thought, by the way, speaking of the ferry and everything that's going on with this, the captain of the ship, when he said, "Do you believe in him?" You know, some do, some just like it for a good laugh, and just it falls back really on this meaning that's surrounding. Actually, Amir, who I was talking to before the show, he was mentioning that he's from Tasmania.
Oh, interesting.
Which they're saying is he maybe not God, is he the devil?
Oh wow!
And that was all over the Reddit threads, and that rabbit hole goes deep.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, because the concept of the ferry, of course, brings up the underworld in like Roman mythology, and you have to pay him the 3 pieces of silver, and the river Styx, and Orpheus and Eurydice, and this show has given us sort of the land beyond. I mean, when Kevin went there, he could communicate with Kevin Sr. through the TV set, and so like, is Australia, is what's happening? Are they, and this is the guy from Lost, are they going to the place beyond? Are they going to where the dead people are?
I think rhetorically to explore theories of life, death, and whatever, yes. But if you're looking for like the mystery solving element of like what is happening,
no,
you
were never getting that.
Down that path lies madness.
Of course, I think we do the finale in Australia. I think that's the only way to figure this out.
Well, I mean, all the pieces on the board have moved there,
So we should too. What the flick?
Right.
Yeah, I know. All the people on the show got a flight to Melbourne. Why not?
Why not? We could take a ferry.
I do love how, and again, I just watched 3 episodes last night, so I'm talking about stuff that happened already, and y'all probably already covered. But the hotel rooms on this show are so sort of weirdly sterile and place in between too, like the one they're in, the one in Melbourne, the one in St. Louis where she goes to meet with Mark Lynn Baker. Although a friend of mine in Austin was like, "That's the Austin skyline out of that window, by the way," which is where they shoot the show. So
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Well, that's why they're always in the Austin airport whenever they go anywhere. Because Miracle.
That's not because of Miracle, Texas.
Well, because Miracle is somewhere in the middle, in the hinterlands.
Somebody pointed out to me, which I actually really liked, in the hotel rooms being on fire multiple times scenes reminds them of Barton Fink. And I thought that was a great reference. That's one of the better hotel rooms.
Or Synecdoche, New York, although that was a house.
Hotels, because they do have to travel. They're going to different places. You're getting a feeling of how this event and having to deal with it plays out elsewhere in the world and not just in Miracle. But they do underscore that with this French guy setting off a bomb, some guy in the airport saying he needs to go to Antarctica because he knows what's about to happen. That's important, but also the idea of wherever you go, there you are, which is a hotel room. Wherever you go, you're in the same place, a hotel room. It doesn't matter what city it's in.
There was also the point that was mentioned, and I forget where I was reading it, so I apologize for not citing this source, but the Bible passage that Matt was reading on the plane before his nose bled.
Oh, it was about the lion's den.
Was
Daniel
about the lion's den, and it ends, and they're obviously coming full circle with a very graphic. I'm someone who doesn't mind graphic scenes. Obviously, I just watched the show with Vigorous Handjob Guy. And lots of, what do we call that ferry? What do we call that boat?
Just a hedonism orgy?
The Fraser cruise.
You know what, they don't ever show reasonable people at an orgy. That's what I liked. I wonder if like at orgies it's always like people dressed as lions. There's never like that person like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. The way I am at like a high school dance, just like, I'll see what I'll be around.
There's a book by Nora Ephron called Wallflower at the Orgy. That's what you want, a wallflower at the orgy, yes.
There you go, good job, Nora.
You're saying explicit in terms of the lion mauling?
Yeah, just mauls him down, and I like the fact that Matt turns, and what does he say at the end? There's the last line he says in the episode, which is just a great piece of him acting.
He says,
that was the guy I was telling you about, and he says with a smile,
yeah.
he goes, "That's the guy I was telling you about."
Yes,
yeah,
you know,
completely smited,
and that's God.
Because he thinks that God sent Lion, or Lion is God.
Sure,
right,
yeah.
And it really is. It's that decision. The like, I guess 3 ways you could look at it, and maybe there are more. One is Matt, who needs to find God.
Yes.
Who needs to be like, there is a God. This guy has said he's God. I need to ask him questions. And find out if he is, with the one possibility being he is. The other one being like, this guy just knows all the answers to give people searching for meaning.
Right.
And that being kind of the trick behind religion, if you look at it that way. And the third one being like the captain being like, I don't care.
For entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, but it ends up really getting this guy killed.
In that Lindelof interview in Vulture, which is worth reading, he talks about how Matt in a lot of ways is this Job-like character because he had everything taken away and then it all came back. You know, he got his wife back, got a kid, like all the, everything was restored, but he's still dissatisfied, but now he's sick again, and so now the search continues, and I think he feels like there's got to be some sort of quid pro quo where if he's faithful enough that he won't die of leukemia, and God says you're cured. And what would be hilarious would be if it turns out he is, and then what?
That's
then what's he gonna do?
I kind of think he's cured. I think that's the way they were going with that. It's because he said I'm dying, and it just seems like that's the easy
snap of the fingers. I think that was so great. I thought.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna die.
Well, in that, I mean, kudos to that dude who plays God.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bronze
the
medals.
idea that he's going to reach up, and I'm like, all right, there's 2 options. He's either gonna touch him, or he's gonna snap his neck and just kill him. Because he just threw a guy off a boat.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah, because God does randomly do that to people.
Yeah, and then him just snapping the fingers. I mean, that whole monologue that he gives to Matt about, I wasn't watching, sorry.
Yeah.
But I'm not sorry.
Yeah, I know, and you weren't doing it for me, you were doing it for you. Yeah, no, this was a great episode, and I never like to conjecture about this stuff, but I would like this show to end with the world not ending and everybody just being like, now what?
I mean, and how people deal with that, and that's a very real possibility.
Because that's how, remember, this season started with the doomsday cults, and
Yeah,
the doomsday never came.
She's like, I don't care.
It seems like I would be shocked. I think we've discussed.
Oh, that's right. There's the flash forward with her and Old and the birds.
Yeah, and she's just doing what the other doomsday cultists.
And last season, I believe you guys discussed too. I don't think, if you really are a true fan of the show, I don't think you want there to
tie
ever
the
be
answer. Yeah.
No answer. No, and if it is, I hope it's a great song with a bunch of people floating around in space.
That works.
Just
too.
a bunch
of frozen bodies in space.
Frozen lionesses with.
Yeah, but a really good song though.
But a great song.
I will say there's a lot of losty moments, like they're going to Australia. There is and also like there is a very jubilant song playing with like these. That's a very different moment. It felt like I was back in the hatch again. And this time it just blew up really quickly. It felt very losty, and I'm like, oh my god, I've seen this already. But it did go other ways with it, and I was really happy.
All right, so yeah, this season I think this season is so great, and I will miss this show when it's gone. I really hope they end it just so, but we'll find out. Check back with us next week. Thanks for watching.